Hello, hello, and welcome back to Minotaur Hotel. We're back with P. That's nice. I do like my bird boy. He is fun. The endless hallway, marble floor, all the way to the death of the universe. The peacock had seen the empty reception and crowded lounge. His civility, is that even a word? Yeah, yes, may have pushed him to introduce himself, but his vision has already taught him the way. In his dream, the grubby lizard had grubby lizard had carried him all around the hotel, down corridors large and small, into and out of kitchens and bedrooms, through doorways and cabinets, and that temple underground as well. Just earlier in the day, he'd seen one of the lizards leaving the door open and exiting through the hallway. He knows his path already, down the endless stretch, marble floor, all the way to the death of the universe. There's no stealth or secrecy to him, just the raw heart beating out of his chest as he counts the seconds before the door reveals itself, and that's when he catches a glimpse of the snake, and as soon as they lay eyes on each other, an old poison boils over. I should turn that off. Something within the bird, an old tale of revenge, built into his kind, and drives bile up his throat. It reminds him of how easy and right it is to stomp a serpent's windpipe. And the serpent, meanwhile, is taken over by the instinctual fear of those terrifying birds, leaping and covering all light with their feathers, talons outstretched and stained by dry blood. The snake must hide, and so he throws himself down a bifurcation. Okay. And while the peacock must hunt, there is enough sense to him in him to focus on his task. He goes the other way, to the door down into the bedrock, deep into the entrails of the heart of the hotel. It all happens in the same time. It takes for a life to be snuffed out. He recognizes the old stone, anticipates the stench of rotted crystals, and dives into the darkness. He sees himself coming down the hallway, and there it is, his inheritance. What a simple thing. His fingers brush it, still sturdy, even after many years in desert air. Sitting almost politely in the Stygian Street Patrol? Was that correct? Yes. Depth, happily replaced into its vase by the small reptile who had wanted to hoard it. The pantas, I just can't do this word, apparently, could almost be grateful to the little bandit for returning it to its rightful place. He takes his inheritance and holds it close to his breast. Hello again, Grandpa. The endless hallway, marble floor, all the way to the death of the universe. It's as good as a place as any to begin your search. Your gaze swipes left and right to left, and you let the rhythm of your footsteps carry you. The thunderous scowl draws your brow downward. Once more, that trickster from the valley's bowels just has to show his face and ruin what should have been a perfectly good day. When you finally get your hands on him, you'll have to ask how he managed to sneak into the hotel and close that passage up, nice and tight too, as you did with the valley entrance. After tossing the snake out on whatever serves as his ass, of course. Wandering around Wandering round. Okay. And around the labyrinth of your own mind, distracted if even briefly from your search. You don't notice the figure popping out from around a corner until it bumps right into you. And as if your thoughts had summoned him from the aether, there he is. Argos, Panatis, yeah, the foreman of the labyrinth.
Ah, Master, how wonderful it is to see you on this auspicious day.
Sorry to say, but the feeling isn't mutual.
Ah, I see your tongue is just as sharp as ever. You must say, over the course of our time together, I've almost found myself looking forward to its lashings.
What are you doing here? How did you even manage to slither in with the valley door locked? The snake gazed about, eyes tracing along the trimming of the wall fixture. He wasn't even listening. He scoffs, unimpressed.
So this is the hotel that bowl of yours holds so dear. How quaint. Though I suppose a human would consider it an improvement from the cave down below. If you will allow me, however, I can think of a few alterations you and the heifer could make to this place. Oh, for instance, his blood would provide a striking bit of color upon these walls. Don't you agree?
If you will allow me, I don't need decoration advice from you. Thank you very much.
More's the pity.
He huffs, a petulant frown on his face, and then takes another look around while tapping his tail tip on the tile floor.
And where is the prisoner, The way you speak of him, I was expecting he'd be at your heel all the time up here.
None of your business. You aren't getting anywhere near him. Now get out.
How rude. So much for hospitality, I suppose. First you shirk your duty, and then you try to prevent me from doing mine. You spoil the bull with kindness undeserved, spit on the god's decree, and offer only scorn and spite to your most loyal servant. Some master you are. It seems I really do need to take matters into my own hands. Grief, misery, anguish, all the suffering which has been postponed these centuries. I have come to deliver at last what has long been due. And if you will not at least stand aside...
He cuts himself off. The snake's scales become pale. His gaze darts over your shoulder. His eyes grow wide with fear. When you turn to see what's caught his attention, you find the source of that fright. A peacock man is stalking down the hallway towards the two of you. A guest? He must be. Although you don't remember checking in anyone of his description, or Asterion making any mention of doing so. Hi, sorry, the lounge is actually the other direction. That's where everyone's gathering. Give me a moment to finish dealing with some business, and I'll be happy to escort you there. The peacock's eyes remain locked onto the trembling snake, who cowers behind you. He pays you no attention. It's you. You're still alive. Still alive too, even after all these years. You only hear a weak, dribbling hiss in response to that. This is all your fault. You pushed him over the edge. Excuse me, but what are you talking about? What do you think? I'm talking about all the bullshit this motherfucker has been pulling. I saw it all. Everything that happened decades ago. That snake is responsible for the bastard going off the rails and kicking everyone out. The previous owner, a grieving, untreated schizophrenic.
plopped right into the middle of a whole world of magic, and you pushed him over the edge. Abandoned by his family, got half his fingers frozen off in the winter. Then he was picked up by his shell-shocked, abusive brother, only to lose the one person he had left. And then you gave him ideas. You read his lips. You told him the Minotaur was to blame for your brother's death. You picked up that fragile piece of shit, and you broke him for good. That's why everyone was kicked out. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why did you do it? It wasn't me. No. No, I see right through you. The same Minotaur, the same snake, the same goddamn lies. You took everything from us. Our home, my family, our future, all because of you. And now, you're here to do it all over again, aren't you? Aren't you? The peacock takes another step closer, approaching, ready to bring whatever vengeance brews within his mind down upon the snake. And with a desperate shriek of fright, Argos turns tail and flees. Oh no you don't. Get back here, you little shit. He moves to give chase, attempting to dart around you as you do your best to stop him in his tracks. You draw in a breath, the faintest hint of some floral miasma clinging to the bird's feathers, and teases your senses. Just wait a minute. Get the fuck out of my way. He wrenches his arms free from your grip, and then proceeds to follow the retreating snake's path out towards the reception. What can you do but follow, good master? You surely can't allow these interlopers to ruin the festivities. Argos slips around the desk, eyes searching with wide desperation for any place to hide, any crevice into which he may squeeze himself, any hole he may use to shelter from the predator which pursues him. And then he turns, and once more slams face first into something, or rather, someone. They stare at one another for a breathless moment. The man looks the intruder up and down, brow furrowed and lips curved at the corners, while the snake's eyes grow wide. So then, clod hopping. Where is the profit from your cleverness? You! Perhaps it is bestial instinct, or merely an inkling of the danger which lurks in those dark eyes, but either way, the snake is shaken to his core. He whirls around, quick as a whip, but the man is faster. Oh. Okay. That's fine. A hand closes around the snake's shoulders, gripping like a vice, and then wrenches him around to shove him to the tile floor. Yeah. Someone, come quick! I found the snake! Here. He's out here! Hurry! The shouting draws pounding footsteps and murmuring voices. Those in the lounge filter out into the reception to witness the unfolding scene. A booted foot pressed against the snake's chest, pinning him in place. He struggles, and at last looks up to plead for whatever mercy might be offered to a wretch such as him. The words die upon Argos's lips when he sees the heavy stone in the man's hand. This villainous thing is a dishonest accuser. The malignant in every way. Come on. Let us give this miserable creature what he deserves. The victor holds his weapon high, ready to bring it crashing down and put an end to the defeated foe. The intruder cowers, lifting his arm in a vain attempt to ward off the fatal blow. At last, the watching crowd's confusion bursts into cries and yells. Such is the
upon which you and the peacock intrude when at last you reach your destination. Argos, Jean? Attention of Argos, of Jean, of the watching guests falls upon you. The crowd buzzes. The snake groans like a wounded beast. The man smiles, almost beatific.
Mr. Josh, there you are. Look, I caught the little rascal who's been giving you so much trouble. No need to thank me. I'm happy to help. And what treatment should he get, do you think, for all his provocation? Should it not be the most extreme penalty? Come,
With the assailant distracted, Argo seizes the chance to attempt another escape. His tail lifts to try and coil around the man's neck, but Jean's smallest swat carries such force that it smashes the scaly length back to the ground. His hands claw and scrabble at the man's legs, but the grievous weight of Jean's boots stays firm upon the writhing snake. A razor-sharp shriek escapes his mouth, but not even that achieves any effort.
My lord, please, have mercy.
You draw a breath. Your senses are overtaken by a tyrannical, overwhelming smell of flowers. The scent of withering lilies, or perhaps roses, as they live well past their prime of decay just before it turns to rot. Good, sweet-scented lord, the time of justice is at hand. Tonight you stand as judge for this snake, an instrument of the gods and their accomplice in the famous endeavors. Yes, it's fine. He put on the pelt and spread his venom. He tries to terrorize the sweet-sounding darling, your charge, and now... What is your verdict, good lord? A pressure builds in your chest. A fury beyond humanity boils within you. Your every action is filled with the might of a king. A single step forward, hand raised to reach out towards the assailant and his victim, is enough to draw Jean's attention back to you. The man's mouth hangs open, as though he's muttering a name under his breath, just as you drawn out all sound in the hotel with your command. Release him. Very well, O lord and liege. The snake disappears from beneath the man's foot. Then a thud and a shriek is heard from amongst the riveted crowd. Jean's eyes filled with surprise, disappointed, betrayal. But then they drift towards a point just over your shoulder, and the smell of decaying flowers becomes like an oil, sticking to your throat. The man's blood-curdling gaze is aimed at the peacock. A shudder rocks through him, and when he speaks, it's in a different voice from the one you've heard so far, light and airy, and yet sharp as a blade against the listener's throat.
It's you, still alive too, even after all these years.
Jean lifts his free hand towards the target of his ire, clenching it into a white-knuckled fist, that's what that says, around the empty air. And every godforsaken shard of chaos and humanity in the peacock's soul boils. His throat closes in a pained wheeze, as though that hand had closed around it in a vice-tight grip. His legs buckle underneath him, but he cannot collapse. All of his eyes are aimed to the looming assailant. The hunter takes a step towards his new, far better prey. Another. Much like Argos, the peacock does not make peace with his fate. Even as his strength fails, he fights off the approaching presence. His shoes scramble against the tile. His own reaching hand claws at his throat, and with each movement, the stench, which hangs in the air, becomes more terrifying. Lilacs or roses, but underneath the cold and rigid source of it, like the kind of sweetness that attracts flies, like the smell of a corpse drained of blood, like the wrongness left behind by an incomplete cremation. The front door opens, and yet another pair intrudes upon the tragedy, old and played out, cycling and spiraling around and around itself, being performed in the reception. We gotta shrink everyone. We need to make room for everyone.
What is going on here? Pedro?
You look to the Minotaurs. The sight of another bovine-shaped man standing behind your darling charge only piles more madness upon the pandemonium, yes, which surrounds you. However, the younger bull's cry of horror spurs you to action. Jean, just what do you think you are doing? The words glance off of the approaching man, like a blow deflecting with a sturdy aegis. Even as you move to place yourself between him and the peacock, Jean's gaze, every iota of of his sharpened focus, remains upon his intended victim. You know, I'm gonna end the part here. I hope that's okay. I'll see you around, everyone.